I have an old garage bathroom that is part storage and part bathroom, but there's a sink over here, and the sink is a little bit on the high side, so it'd be nice if we could create just a simple little step stool right here so we can stand on, so the sink would be a little bit more accessible. But I also have to be careful because I have my sewage drainage pipe that runs right here next to the sink, so I want it to be close, but I don't want it to be touching. Our first measurement is the width of the countertop, which is about 32 inches. But our pipe sticks out about 6, so we're gonna do 32 minus 6, we're gonna do a 26-inch stool. Now the sink in my kitchen comes to about my upper thigh, which is about 36 inches, which would be right about here. And as you can tell, this one is at almost 42 and a half. So we're talking about 6.5 inch difference. So that's what we need our stool to be. For this project, I'm going to use this scrap piece of wood. This, I believe, was a 2x12. It is currently only 11 inches wide, so it has shrunk about 1/4 inch over the years. But if you don't have a 2x12, you can use two 2x6s and just maybe glue them together or just use them as a pair. Now this board is a little bit too long. It is well over that 26 inches that we need, and it has holes already in from a previous project. So I think I'm going to cut a couple inches off of this side and then clean up the rest of it on that side. That way it'll be clean and sharp on each end. If we look at the end of our board, you'll notice it's a little arched. In other words, it's higher on this side than it is on this side. So I'm going to make this the top, and because of that arch, it should give it a little bit more strength. Next up, we need to figure out the height. We know the overall needs to be about 6.5 inches, and this is about 1.5, so we need about 5 inches of board down here to make this work. I looked at my scrap pile for a 2x6. I don't have one because that would be almost the perfect height. I do have an old 2x8 scrap, and I think I can make that work by just trimming part of this off. You'll notice here I have 2 scrap pieces that are almost the exact width. They're just a little shy, probably about 3/4 of an inch, but this is a garage project, so this should work fine. Now since these are a little bit on the short side, I'm going to try and center these up on the ends. To attach these together, I could always use some glue, but that would make this a permanent fit. And I want to be able to take these apart just in case these ever crack or break on me. So I think I'm just going to use some screws going in the top. It's also a good idea to pre-drill these holes so there's less likely to crack on the end. For this project, I'm going to use some 3-inch long screws to make sure I have a nice bite into this board below. And I just realized using an impact is probably not the best. I just stripped this one screw. That's okay, I can put another one beside it, but use just a regular drill, not an impact. And the screws don't have to be perfectly flush as long as they're pretty close, because I'm going to put something over this. With both of the legs attached, I'm going to flip this over, and I want to see if I can add a little more support under the inside of both of these so it kind of minimizes the side-to-side movement as you get on and off. Remember the scrap we cut off earlier? I believe I can cut some angles off of it and attach those to the inside. And I believe that will work just like that. Now, as I mentioned before, these legs, I want to keep them the ability to replace them in the future. So I think I'm going to add a little glue to the top and glue it to this top surface, but only have a screw going in from the legs. If this glue spreads out on the side, I'm not worried. It's going to be underneath, so I don't really care. I hate Phillips. I don't know why I did it on this project. And then I'm just going to repeat this for the other side. And the stool is nearly complete. There's a little bit of wiggle to it, but the wood is warped and I doubt the floor is level either, so that little wiggle I'm not too worried about. And side to side, this thing is rigid. The only movement is my actual workbench. That is solid. Awesome. Now to make this old nasty wood look a little bit nicer, I have some old vinyl flooring that I'm gonna cut and wrap around it, and it happened to be almost the perfect width. Oh, so that is great. And so we're gonna wrap that underneath, staple it in place, and I think that's gonna look really nice. Just like the legs, I want this to be removable in the future, so I'm just going to staple it down. And so I positioned everything with some clamps, and I can begin the stapling, trying to start from the center just to be safe. Occasionally I have a staple that doesn't go all the way in, so I just tap it in with a hammer. On each of the sides, I'm gonna wrap the rest of the vinyl underneath and secure it with staples, but I do have to trim this up so it'll fit around that leg. And this is a garage project, so I'm just gonna eyeball this. Then I'm just gonna pull this tight and staple it down. It doesn't have to look pretty under here. And there's a real simple step stool that should be really easy for almost anybody to make. Let's go test it out. There we go. It's a little bit wiggly, but I believe that's partly the floor. But overall, that should work great. Oh yeah, nice. Now the sink is right about the same height as the one in my kitchen. That should be great. If you have any other suggestions about this step stool, please put those in the comments so we can help everybody out. Otherwise, have fun building.